Hello, everyone. Might take a couple minutes for people to pop in, but I want to go ahead and get started and have a great little chat today. So I'm so excited to kind of start this series that I've been wanting to do. I just want to tell you a little bit about it, Chelsea. Do you mind?
Yeah. No,
So,
girl.
I love to share. I've just kind of always been a sharer, and I've had like 15 blogs, and I have a YouTube channel, and I've thought about doing a podcast because I love that interaction with people, which I don't really get from like blogging or making YouTube videos. So at first I was like, maybe I could do a podcast, but I don't know. I'm just too many places right now and trying to like hone in a bit. So I thought how fun it would be to just have a little interaction time on Instagram. So I'm already hanging out here every day. So I'm so excited that you're our first guest, Chelsea. Welcome to the show, or to the series.
You. Hey, we'll call it a show. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so thrilled to be here. Like, you're just a ball of light and energy, and so when you asked, I was like, yes, of course. I would love to share with your audience.
Yes, and that's what I want because, like I've said, being a sharer, I love sharing, but I don't know, life is just so much more than me, and, you know, God's asked us not to glorify ourselves. I love learning from others and getting insight and hearing what other people have to say so that I can improve myself as well, because I don't think that I have all the answers or that I'm the bee's knees. So I'm just really excited to share together, and thank you for joining me here today.
Of course. Thanks. I'm so glad to be here.
Yay. So also, I'm on my bouncy ball. I'm trying not to bounce.
You be on your bouncy ball. I'm in a semi-quiet Starbucks, so it's good. So where would you like me to start? Do you want to start with the questions and I'll answer? Okay.
I have so many questions for you.
Great.
So first of all, most of the people here know who I am because they're following my page here. So let's learn a little bit about Chelsea. I want to know where you come from, what you're doing now, and what you want to be doing in the future.
Yeah. So I'm a Texan born and raised. So even in all of my makeup years and years that I was doing makeup, I was born and raised here and really prided myself in the fact that I could travel from Texas to New York and LA to do all the work that I needed to do. So Texas is a great place. I love Texas. And I love being here. Being raised in a small town in West Texas actually taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about hard work. It taught me a lot about commitment. Some of my family are farmers, and so I watched from an early age them have to really be dependent upon the divine to provide for them. You know, they're having to watch the weather. I mean, they can't control the weather. All they could do is plant. And so that's something that was really like instilled in me like early in my life is like we can definitely like plant, but it's God's job to bring the harvest. So we plant the seed and then we trust the divine to bring the harvest. And so I became a performer early on. So I'm the oldest of 4 kids, and so a lot of the attention that I received came when I would perform. My dad was my biological father wasn't a part of my life. He had an alcohol problem and left when I was very young, so under the age of 2. And my mom remarried when I was 6, and very quickly my sister and we added 2 other kids to the family. And so for me, I grew up in a household where you hustled, have good grades. And so I realized like that's where I got attention is when I would perform. Or at least that's
what were you doing to perform?
Pretty much anything that I could do. It would be in grades. I had a junior Olympic time in backstroke. I got into dance in college, but really anything that I could do, Bible drill at church, anything that I could do to get a job well done, I would do. And so I really worked very aggressively to perform and realized that so much of my identity and whether I had a positive self-esteem or negative self-esteem was found around this ability to perform, and not only perform, but to perform with excellence. Like I had to be number 1. I couldn't be number 2. And having a dad as a coach, you either win or you lose. And so when they lost, that meant my dad didn't come home for the weekend and he was watching film. And so even though I grew up, in a godly home and a godly environment, there were these lies that I was believing early on. And they were and those lies were, you have to perform to get attention and you can't ever lose.
Ooh, I just got the chills because I struggle with that too.
So, so, you can relate. And so that sort of led me through high school I began competing within the Miss America organization when I was a senior in high school, and I was taking my first college courses when I was still in high school.
Wow.
So it didn't ever go away. The need for recognition and the need for the trophy was just getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And the need for a hit, I kind of call it a drug. It was a type of drug that I was pursuing, and so accomplishment was my drug. And so the greater the accomplishment, the more of a hit I needed more of them. And around that same time is when I got into makeup, and then just built my career. And honestly, I've had some incredible experiences as a makeup artist, and there's no easy way to say it. I was just in the right place at the right time, and God opened doors. There was no special science that I followed to get the opportunities that I did in film and television. God really just opened those doors for me. But again, it goes back to the original issue when I was young, is those accomplishments. I just thought, if I get a magazine cover, if I get this, if I just get to do the Oscars, then I'll be happy. And again, I had to walk with God through this entire season and this entire time. It's just, I really had to do deep dive work into this part of me that needed to accomplish things. And fast forward to where I am today. I've recovered from an abusive relationship. You posted that earlier. So I got away from a domestically abusive relationship that I was in for 6 years, because Christian girls don't get divorced, or godly girls don't remove themselves from the situations that they place themselves in. And so it really was like a 10-year journey of grace. It was a 10-year journey of having to learn where value comes from and learn where identity comes from. And I think when you show up to that work, and you do a deep dive into really kind of being sick of yourself and sick of the thing that you're having to do to put this false smile on your face or feel like you're important, and you kind of get over that hump, it's kind of become my life mission to help others accomplish that very same thing. So it really has brought me to this place where I really have a deep passion to work with people, kind of taking life experiences, connecting with the divine, and really looking at neuroscience and looking at what neuroscience has to say about our ability to change our thoughts about ourselves, and that our thought life, our belief system about who we are really does shape us. So it wasn't that my environment at home really was this environment that was competitive. That's the story I told myself. It's not that I had to do all these things. It was the story that I was telling myself. And when I got so sick of it, I was really just sick of myself. I really had kind of come to the end of myself, and now dedicate my days to holistic living, holistic mindset, and really have a deep passion to help people find freedom in that. Like you posted it, your brokenness and the things that bind you really are the things that lead to your breakthrough. And it's just flipping the script, on that. And so I literally have this gift. I have this ability to kind of, in a different realm, I can hear when chains hit a concrete floor. I love to hear chains fall off of people. And
I love that.
So that's what I commit myself to these days.
Chain breaker, mother of dragons.
Yes, mother, breaker of chains, all of the things. Yes.
That's awesome. So I'm going to pause there for a second, because I do want to hear kind of what your goals are for the future. But you mentioned the word holistic, and if there's people here that are watching that don't really understand what that word might mean, they might think it's this new agey terminology, and for me it's totally not. For me, the word holistic is looking at yourself as a whole person, mind, body, soul, spirit, everything, and feeling out the best healing patterns for your whole self, holistic. So
Correct.
I love the definition, or I don't know the exact definition of holistic, but that's kind of what it means to me. So like, what does holistic healing mean to you, if you were to try and define that?
I think we actually have to go to the root word. It's one of my favorite words to talk about, to actually be holy, which I know that, you know, both of us come from religious backgrounds, and I'm sure a lot of people on here, you know, have some type of faith or belief system. To actually be holy means to be whole. Yeah. Like, it is to be a whole individual. And I think if we are going to be a whole being, or we're going to be a whole, you know, person, we have to look into where we are spiritually, where we are emotionally, where we are mentally, where we are physically. And all of those things have a domino effect. So if we are emotionally like unstable and not taking care of our emotional health, it doesn't matter how healthy we are, physically, spiritually, or mentally, we're only going to be as healthy as the most unhealthy part of us. And yes. So to look at holistic living means to look at every aspect of our life to say, how do I become a larger whole? Like, how do I live from a place of whole, opposed to fabricating pieces and living with like this puzzle piece attached to this puzzle piece attached to this puzzle piece. And I think we arrive at holistic living piece by piece, but I think we have to look into each of those categories of our life and say, and to some people, they break it down even more. Like, some people are looking at their lives relationally, or some people are looking at their life from a financial perspective. I think whatever components you add to what it means to be whole, I think it is all about taking those pieces and living from the best place that you possibly can to be a whole person. And I think part of holistic living, part of my definition of it, is always remaining teachable. I think you have to be a teachable person. If you're not teachable and you're not open to education and you're not open to growing, I don't think that you can live holistically, because we're always changing. You know, we're always growing, and so I don't think it's like one piece without the other. It really does take all components of, you know, our life, and looking at those areas and reaching out to people that are more educated in those areas than us, or actually living from a place of success in those areas to help us arrive at a higher version of ourselves.
That's so good. I love that. Yeah, finding the pieces, because sometimes we might have it all together. Sometimes we lose pieces along the way. I don't know. I feel like I was born without a few pieces that I've had to acquire or accumulate or work on. So I love that. And that's how we met, by the way, if you guys were wondering, like, how do you guys know each other?
Yeah.
Through some holistic healing journeys brought us together, which I love. And, you know, there's many forms of healing and nurturing yourself. One of those ways that we love is obviously essential oils. So I have to ask, what's one of your favorite essential oils that you use in your daily routines for self-care and holistic living?
Yeah, so I think for me, I can't choose one. I would have to choose four. And I have to choose four because I have to break it down to, like, what really helps me emotionally, what really helps me mentally, what helps me physically, and then what helps me spiritually. Okay, so in looking at, you know, those four pieces, because that's actually how my journey began with doTERRA and with essential oils. I have a pharmaceutical background, so when I got out of my abusive, you know, relationship and had to put my life back together, I utilized my degree and I got into pharma. So I've actually have a decade of experience in big pharma, so I understand clinical trials. I understand, like, what it means for something to be pure, what it means to bring something to you know, to market that is what doTERRA is. And what hooked me actually was Vetiver. My whole life I've struggled to focus, and I have a very addictive personality that's just true to my nature and my character, and it just didn't ever feel right for me to look at handling my inability to focus from a prescription drug standpoint. That came from a lot of research. It's not to knock any person that is on any form of prescription drug. I have family members that are on prescription drugs, and I don't think essential oils are doctors. But for me, I was looking for something that could help me focus. And so to bring you into my world a little bit, when I wake up in the morning, I have 18 windows that are open, and I don't know which one is most important. All 18 of them are most important. And each of them are calling my name now, and I don't know how to process eliminate until I was introduced to vetiver, and vetiver completely changed my life. Like, that oil will bring me to a place to tears. And so just like a little bit on the wrist and actually underneath or across, like underneath my nose and across like my forehead, I began seeing like I was actually able to begin to find focus and begin to make decisions and delegate, figure out like what was most important, what could I fit to the next day, and that was life changing for me. And so to this day, like I don't begin a day without vetiver. And at the time, Copaíba wasn't around, but vetiver and Copaíba kind of are a hand in hand for me. Like Copaíba on the tongue every day, or soft gels.
Yes.
Balance is probably my favorite oil for sleep and grounding. I use it in yoga. I like that. I don't go anywhere without that oil. And probably the oil that actually grounds me spiritually the most and helps me tap into the divine and feel closer to the divine, believe it or not, is actually jasmine.
I love jasmine. Yes, me too. Yeah, I love essential oils. I think they're just really awesome tools because they come from the earth. They're gifts from God. They're things that we can use to help us in our mental, physical, spiritual, emotional journeys. And I'm just so grateful. And I'm glad that that's how we connected. I think it's
totally
a blessing for me. Just, of course, the tools, but also the friendships and the family that I've
100%
made in our community has been so helpful and healing for me as well. So I love that. Cool. So let's hear a little bit about, obviously you're still doing makeup, right? You're still a makeup artist kind of day to day. Is that what your day job is, or what are you doing now?
Marissa, it's, so the beautiful thing about where I am now is I kind of get to be picky and choosy about makeup, and I actually was able to step away for a while. So it's been a minute since I did something in the makeup world, and that was a decision. Like that was one of the trophies I had to lay down, and that just needed to be part of my healing journey to ask myself, like, who am I? Like, if I can't talk about what I do, what I know, who I know, or what I own, who am I?
Yeah. I love that. Lay down your trophy. That's powerful.
So I just had to put the trophies in the trophy case to collect some dust. And so I'm still somewhat of a newlywed. So I got married. In May will be 2 years. Yay. And around that time is when I left my pharmaceutical job and began pursuing doTERRA more full time and writing. So to be 100% transparent, I took a deep dive sabbatical, right after I got married. I stepped away from social media. I had a very successful blog, and so I just looked at every aspect of my life and was like, everything was about performing. Like everything was performance driven. Mm-hmm. And yes, I loved those things. And so I'm sort of just now coming back, re-putting my toes into the water with the things that I have wanted to do. And I don't think that coach is the right word. You actually use it in the post. I really do believe I have a strategic gifting to help people transform areas of their life that they have been struggling with for years. I have an ability to sort of reshape and refine the way that people look at things. And so that's what I've been doing, just organically, just coaching people in how to get better clarity, how to walk in the things that they really want, not talk about it, but actually really experience it. And so I pair thought life to helping people connect with the divine, again, like I said, to neuroscience. So we talk about a lot of neuroscience. So
that's fantastic.
Helping people get free in their thoughts.
Wow, that's so cool. So, do you think that it's possible for you, just knowing the way that you are after taking your sabbatical, I like the term there,
Yeah.
do you think it's possible for you to continue to be a sharer and, for lack of a better term, influencer, without kind of damaging yourself? Do you think that you got some perspective and are able to be out without I don't know, like self-worshiping? Does that make sense? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
And for me, I'll tell you, like, it's not actually even the self-worship for me. Where it really comes in the need to perform is actually a deep fear of letting my audience down and not being impressive. So,
interesting.
it's not actually about the self-worship for me at all. It's that I want you to be impressed by the information that I put into the world. And so that is one of the things that I had to work deeply on. And I think your question is so good and so profound. Most people don't ask questions that deep, you know, and I think that's where the real answer is, and that's where like the hope for improvement is, right? And so for me, I went on sabbatical thinking I would be on sabbatical for 3 months, and it turned into like almost 18 months.
Yeah.
And it was because like I would put myself out, and it's like I found myself doing the very thing that people talk about, like, oh my gosh, I've looked at my phone 27 times to see if people liked it, to see if people commented, and I share that to be 100% honest. Like, we've all done it. It's just no one wants to talk about it. Like, did you like what I put? What was this well received? And at that time, I knew, like, I'm not ready to be back into this world of social media and putting things out there with people's ability to either accept it or deny it. And so what I did is I hired a thought coach. She actually is on Instagram, and I can see some of the other people that use Angie as well. It is Angie Woods Coaching. And it was just a divine connection and how I connected with her, and hired Angie to walk me through, you know, just a lot of my thoughts. And I had been doing some other work outside of that, and I realized I just really kind of needed to set boundaries up around myself. So just people that can hold me accountable. Like, how many times are you looking at your phone in a day? Are you looking at your phone? But to also realize that just because someone doesn't hit the heart button to like my information doesn't mean that someone wasn't inspired by my inspiration.
Yes.
And like, I have to change my own thoughts. Like, it's not about the need for instant gratification. And so I knew that I had come to a place where I was ready to be back into this arena when I realized I am here for purpose over perception, not purpose over perfection. For me, it's purpose over perception. So I am
What
here.
You're saying right now is hitting me so hard. I love that.
I'm so glad to. It was like I have to show up to this platform and practice, like, letting my videos be dumb or sharing 4 different things that matter to me because I wanted to stand up for them. Like what I posted earlier in my stories about one of the girls from The Bachelor last night that was being attacked. I've worked on that show, or worked with girls that had been on that show, and I thought it was aggressive and I thought it was hateful. And it's like, I'm going to share that. I stepped away from, like, I was ill-affected by whether or not you were impressed by what I said, you know. Yes. And so for me, every single day, like, I've got them, it's written literally across a mirror where I do a lot of my work, and it just says purpose over perception. And so when I think about that, I think about who is the one person, and I get emotional every time I say this, that is praying for my answers today. Like, they're praying, that they're on their hands and knees praying for the things that I put into the world. They're praying for the words that I put or the encouragement that I put out there. And who am I to not put that into the world because I'm afraid of what some other person that doesn't know me might say? And so I knew that I was ready when I had come to a place where I was able to say I care more about the purpose than I care about the perception.
Oh, that's hitting so hard right now, Chelsie. I love it so much. I saw a quote somewhere, and I don't remember exactly how it went, but it was something along the lines of, like, you're ready to up level when you stop caring about what people might think about you. Something along the lines of that. And like I don't know, I've heard things like that before, and it's like, yeah, cool. But the other day, okay, we've got just 4 minutes left, but the other day I wanted to talk about a topic that I felt really strongly about, that was trendy, and that I had seen other people talking about, and I just wanted to share how I felt about it. I got a few messages of gratitude for me sharing and talking about that, and I also got a few messages of, hate, maybe, and maybe it's too strong, but discouragement or rude comments for saying the things I did, and I still felt my conviction and was happy to share about that. Where the person a year ago, I'm kind of a people pleaser, and I wouldn't have even talked about a touchy subject in fear of rejection.
Totally.
So I have been feeling that kind of up-leveling lately as well, where I can feel comfortable with the things that I feel and share and not have to please everybody, because, God doesn't want us to please everybody. He wants us to please Him. And so, for me spiritually, that's okay. And I don't have to be on everybody's level, and we can still all be friends without having to have the exact same opinions and beliefs. So
well, I
love what you're saying.
I think when we step back and we take a bird's eye view, there are people that I'm not into everything that they do, but I don't look at them and think, oh my gosh, that was so dumb that they posted that, and how horrible was it that they said this. It's like, I don't feel that way towards people, and it's my job. Like, I am the gatekeeper for my own thoughts. Like, I am the gatekeeper for what I choose to take from my head to my heart. And negative thoughts are going to come, and fear of what are people going to think going to come, but I can grab that. That's what that whole verse, hold every thought captive in obedience to Christ. Like, grab the thought and say, I'm actually not going to let this take root in my heart. I'm not going to let this seed take effect. And so I think when I give myself the grace that I give to others, and I assume that people want to give me the same grace, like they can disagree with me, but they don't hate me or think that my work is bad, it totally sets us free. When we're able to just say, I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay. And not everybody is my cup of tea, but I don't have hateful thoughts towards them, And when I give myself that same grace, it's it takes a load off. Like, it's okay. Not everybody's going to like me.
And you know what? If you're not someone's cup of tea, then they can just leave. Like, they don't have to follow you.
Totally.
And you know what? That's okay. And you might attract your tribe by being more authentically you instead of trying to please everybody. So I love that. That's so great. Well, in our last minute, I have to just say, Chelsie, that I didn't know you a few years ago, and I don't know the things that maybe you've struggled with, but you're such a brilliant light, and I think that you're so special. I love talking with you. I think it's definitely talents and gifts from God to share what you've learned and to help some of us along the way. So I'm really happy that you've put your trophies away to collect some dust, at least for a time being, and that you're trying to use your talents and your services to help other people. I think it's amazing that we can do that. And, maybe makeup was a way for you to help people as well, but I think what you're leaning into is really powerful and special. So I'm so proud of you. Thank you for sharing.
No, it's been a pleasure to be on this call. And like I told you, we talked about it off camera. But to any person that is on this call that is interested to learn more about your thought life and the process and journey that I went on to arrive at this place, I am offering free 30-minute sessions. You will need to DM me directly and just say you are on Tuesday Talks. Just put the hashtag Tuesday Talks, and I'll know to get you into my calendar for a free 30-minute session. And Marissa, that's applicable to you as well. So anything that somebody might want better clarity on, anything in their life, and then we can go from there. If I'm your cup of tea, we can talk about what that might look like long term. And if I am not, hopefully you will have a little bit of clarity from a free 30-minute call. So I just have a heart to see people set free in their thought life, because when you're free in your thoughts, you're free in your heart. So
that's such a great offering. I hope everyone that is here or rewatching later will take Chelsie up on that offer, because trust me, she's a good person to have in your circle. If 30 minutes, if for your whole life, I might keep her around. So yes, make sure that you message Chelsie with the hashtag Tuesday Talks. Get your free consultation. Not a consultation, just a chat. And
just your transformation track. Just let's
yeah.
do some transforming in 30 minutes. Yeah.
Yes, she's a force. So thank you so much, Chelsie. Do you have anything else that you want to leave with us, or final thoughts?
No, I think my final thoughts are, I was praying about getting on this call and like what exactly I was supposed to say, and I just really felt like that what every person on this call needs to know is you are exactly where you are supposed to be. You are in the exact step that you're supposed to be in. If you were on this call or you listen to the replay, you are supposed to be here. You are taking the right steps, and it doesn't have to be overwhelming. It is really just the next best step, and you are so loved, and there is divine purpose for each and every one of you. So no matter how dark it is, no matter where you're at, what you're facing, whether it's good or bad, joyful or sad,
it's part of the process.
Yeah, there is divine purpose for you, and it is good, and your best days are ahead.
I love that. So good. Thank you for joining us here today, Chelsie.
Thank you so much. Love you guys.
I appreciate you.
Love you, girl. Thanks for
I
having
will have this up for 24 hours, and I'll see if I can save it. I'm not sure. Might post it somewhere else. But anyways, thank you if you were here live, and thank you for watching the replay if you did so. We hope to catch you next week on our Tuesday Talk, 8 p.m. here. I'm going to be doing this every week for a little while. And I have some awesome guest speakers lined up for the rest of the month and into March. And if you know anyone that would like to share, it can be honestly about like any topic. These are just Tuesday Talks, learning a little something new every time. So feel free to reach out if you have anything you'd like to share, or know someone that that might be a good asset for us to learn from in our community here. So thank you for showing up, and we'll see you in the next Tuesday Talks, next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, bye everyone. Thank you again.